My sister said I was stealing kids from real parents because I adopted, then I got pregnant. I never planned to be a mom. Not like that. Not to someone else's kid. Not in my 20s. Not while my older sister Heather was still neck-deep in IVF and bitterness. But sometimes life walks through your front door with a diaper bag and a broken look on its face and says, "Can you just help? For now?" Her name was Chloe, 2 years old, all curls and big brown eyes. Her birth mom, Lena, was one of those friends who had drifted in and out of my life over the years. Not a bestie, but someone I'd gone to school with, someone who always had the same shaky smile like she was waiting for the next storm. And this time, the storm was real. She showed up to my apartment with Chloe on her hip and a garbage bag full of clothes, her face blotchy, her voice shaking. "They're going to take her, Sam. I need someone I trust. Just for a little while." I didn't think. I said yes. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. And that was the moment everything in my life, including my family, started to shift. At first, everyone pretended to be supportive. Heather called and said all the right things. "That's so generous of you. What a huge heart you have." My mom brought over groceries. My dad installed a safety latch on the hallway closet. Even Heather's husband Brian swung by one weekend with a used high chair and some diapers. But there was something under Heather's voice when she asked questions like, "So, how long is she staying? Is Lena getting her back soon?" And the one that really cut, "Do you think this is fair to Chloe? Being shuffled around like this?" I kept brushing it off. Told myself it was concern. That she was just projecting. That maybe infertility made you see every kid as a reminder of the one you couldn't have. But it wasn't concern. It was resentment. A few months passed. Chloe settled in like she'd always been part of my life. She called me Mama by accident once, then did it again on purpose. Lena's situation didn't improve. She got hit with a second CPS case, missed a drug test, and finally signed over temporary guardianship. It wasn't forever, but it was legal. Chloe was mine to care for. Heather didn't come to the court date, didn't send a message, didn't even acknowledge it. And that silence? It said more than any outburst ever could. One night, we were all at my mom's place. Family dinner. Chloe was napping in the guest room. Mom brought out old photo albums and started flipping through them like it was some kind of ritual. Heather sat there, picking at her salad, her smile too tight. Then Mom said, "It's funny. You both ended up with kids now. In different ways." I smiled. Heather didn't. "It's not the same," she said. I blinked. "What do you mean? You didn't carry her. You didn't try for years. You didn't bleed for it." The room went dead quiet. "Heather, you just got lucky. Someone handed her to you." I stood up, heart pounding. "Someone trusted me." "No, Sam. You took someone else's child and played house." I left without saying another word. After that, we didn't talk for 2 months. Not even a birthday text. Mom tried to play mediator. She's hurting. So am I. It's not about you. It is when she calls my daughter a prop. Because that's what this was about. Heather didn't see Chloe as a child. She saw her as a prize I didn't earn. Eventually, Lena signed over permanent custody. She sat across from me in court, eyes glassy but steady, and said, "She deserves a chance. And I can't give it to her." "But you can." I cried the whole drive home. And when I told Chloe she'd be staying with me forever, she didn't really understand. But she hugged me tighter than she ever had. I posted a simple photo on Facebook. Just me and Chloe on the porch. Caption, "Forever." Heather didn't like it. Didn't comment. Didn't call. But 2 days later, she posted her own photo, a negative pregnancy test, and a glass of wine. Caption, "Still waiting for our turn." I didn't reply. Because some people will always see your joy as their loss. Even when that joy came from someone else's tragedy. I didn't expect the call. Not from Lena. Not again. Not after everything that had already happened. The custody case, the late-night tears, the goodbye that wasn't really a goodbye. I thought it was done. Wrapped up. One heartbreak processed. One little girl finally safe. But life doesn't stop at one blow. It stacks them. And this time, it stacked a newborn on my chest before I even had time to say no. Lena called me from the hospital. "It's a boy." Her voice cracked. "They're going to take him, Sam. They're already talking about putting him in state care." I blinked. Felt my stomach twist. "Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant again?" "Because I didn't know if I'd make it. And I didn't want you to feel like I was asking again." "But you are." "I am." She started crying. "They'll split them. Chloe and the baby. Different homes. Different lives. I can't let that happen. Please." And there it was. That word. Please. So I went. I drove 2 hours to a hospital in the middle of nowhere. Signed forms. Sat through glares from nurses who clearly judged everything about this situation. And then they brought him in. Noah, 6 pounds, little lungs, big eyes, and a grip like he already knew he had to hold on for dear life. The first night was hell. He cried for hours. Chloe woke up screaming when she heard him. I was up at 3 a.m., crying too, wondering if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. But by morning, something settled. I rocked him, fed him, stared at his tiny face and thought, this is what it feels like to choose love twice. Of course, I had to tell my family. I didn't expect applause, but I also didn't expect the silence. I called Mom first. I'm fostering Noah, Chloe's brother. Same mom. Pause. You're doing it again? I'm not doing anything. I'm keeping them together. But Sam, this is a baby. You work full-time. You're alone. I was alone with Chloe too. And you look exhausted. That's part of parenting. Heather won't take this well. And there it was. The real issue. Heather didn't call. She didn't text. But she saw the pictures. I know she did. One of me holding Noah at 3 weeks. One of Chloe helping with a bottle. One of all three of us, me in a messy bun, circles under my eyes, but smiling like I finally understood what my life was supposed to look like. She didn't hit like. Didn't comment. Instead, she posted a selfie in a fertility clinic waiting room. Caption: some of us have to fight for the thing others get handed twice. Brian, her husband, was the only one who reached out. He messaged me late one night. I know things are tense, but I just want to say, I think what you're doing is incredible. Not easy, but good. I didn't reply right away, because I wasn't sure what stung more, the kindness in his words, or the silence from my own sister. Then came Thanksgiving. Mom insisted on hosting. Said it would be nice to try and be normal again. Nothing about this was normal. But I went. Chloe in one hand, Noah in the carrier. I walked into the house and felt the tension like a wall. Heather was already there. She barely looked at me. Didn't even look at the kids. Dinner was a disaster. Mom tried to force conversation. So Heather, how's the new protocol? Fine. And Sam, how's the baby? Sleeping 3 hours at a time. So basically, I'm in survival mode. Heather snorted. Well, that's what happens when you collect children like coupons. The room went dead. Mom gasped. Brian froze. I stared at her. Excuse me. You heard me. These are human beings, Heather. Not accessories. No. They're trophies. You want everyone to see how generous you are. How noble. Look at Saint Samantha, raising someone else's babies while I can't have even one. I stood up. You want to be angry? Be angry. But don't you dare use your pain as an excuse to attack my kids. She got up too. They're not your kids. That broke something. In me. In the room. Maybe even in her. Because Chloe was watching. And I looked at her, and I knew I couldn't let her think this was what family sounded like. I packed up, took the kids, walked out. Mom didn't stop me. Neither did Brian. And Heather? She never said a word. I didn't cry that night. I was too tired. But as I rocked Noah to sleep and watched Chloe drift off beside him, I whispered, you are mine, whether she sees it or not. That week, I applied for full adoption for Noah. I stopped waiting for approval, for applause, for permission. They were my family now. And if that meant I had to let go of the one I was born into, so be it. I wasn't trying to get pregnant. That's the part no one wants to believe, especially not my sister. I wasn't tracking ovulation. I wasn't hoping. I was barely even dating. I was knee-deep in diapers and daycare drop-offs, paperwork for Noah's adoption, and Chloe's pre-K tantrums. My mornings were a blur of cereal spills and lost shoes, and my nights were just silence and exhaustion. But life, or fate, or God, or biology didn't care about timing. Because one Tuesday morning, between dropping Chloe off at school and changing Noah's third diaper of the day, I realized I hadn't gotten my period in over a month. And suddenly, everything tilted. The test turned positive faster than I could blink. I stared at it, sat down, then laughed. Because this had to be a joke, right? 3 years ago, I wasn't even sure I wanted kids. Now I was about to have 3, 2 adopted, 1 biological. I was overwhelmed, terrified, but weirdly, I wasn't upset. I'd already learned how to love kids that didn't come from me. Now I learned to love one that did. The first person I told was my mom. Her face froze when I said it. Then she hugged me. Tight. But her voice was hesitant. Does Heather know? No. I haven't told anyone. You might want to ease into it. What does that mean? You know what it means. I did. But I didn't want to hide. I was tired of hiding joy to make other people comfortable. So I posted a photo. Nothing dramatic. Just Chloe and Noah each holding one side of a little baby onesie. Caption: Big sister and big brother coming soon. Heather didn't comment, didn't like it, didn't call. But Brian did. He messaged me that night. She saw the post. Yeah, I figured. She's not doing well. She hasn't been doing well for 2 years. She thinks you're doing this on purpose. I almost threw my phone. She thinks I planned this? She thinks you're hoarding children. Hoarding. Like I was stockpiling them in a closet somewhere. Like I was some twisted collector. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. A few days later, she finally reached out. Heather. She sent a single text. You really couldn't let me have anything, could you? I stared at it. Then typed, I didn't take anything from you. She replied, you took everything. I didn't tell Chloe what was happening. She was too young, but she could feel it. She asked why Aunt Heather didn't come around anymore. Why Nana seemed quieter when she visited. Why people got weird when they saw Mommy with so many kids. I didn't know what to say, so I told her the truth. Sometimes, when people are hurting, they say things they don't mean. Like when I said I hated broccoli? Exactly. She nodded. So, does she hate me? I froze. No, never. But she doesn't understand you yet. And that's not your fault. At my baby shower, Heather didn't show up. She RSVP'd yes. Then ghosted. Didn't send a gift. Didn't call after. Tessa, my oldest friend, pulled me aside halfway through. You okay? Yeah. No, you're not. I exhaled. I'm having a baby and grieving a sibling at the same time. It's weird. She's the one who's losing, not you. The night before I went into labor, I sat in the nursery, watching Noah sleep and folding onesies. I was scared. Not of delivery, not of pain, but of becoming even more isolated. I already knew Heather wouldn't visit, wouldn't call, wouldn't congratulate me. And yet, I still hoped. Hope is a strange thing. Even when it hurts you, it sticks around. I gave birth to a little girl. Healthy, strong, loud as hell. We named her Ava Grace. Chloe held her first. Noah poked her head and said baby over and over. And for a moment, everything made sense. No ghosts, no guilt, just family, the one I built myself. Then the flowers came. No card, just a bouquet, hydrangeas and roses. The handwriting on the delivery note was messy but familiar. Congratulations. From the 3 of us. 3? I texted Brian. Was that from you? Heather picked the flowers. I paid. Why? Because she couldn't say it out loud. But she needed to say it somehow. I stared at the message. Typed. Deleted. Typed again. Tell her thanks. That was it. No olive branch. No forced reunion. Just a single crack in the ice. Some families are born whole. Others break, rebuild, and break again. And some are made up of people who fight every day to unlearn what love isn't, just so they can recognize it when it finally shows up. I built mine from broken pieces. And I'm done apologizing for that. There's a moment where you realize you're not part of a family anymore. Not really. Maybe legally, sure. Blood and paperwork and birthdays on the calendar. But the real part? The part where people protect each other, stand up for each other, choose each other? That dies long before anyone admits it out loud. For me, it died over green beans. It was Christmas dinner. The first big gathering since Ava was born. My mom begged me to come. Said it was time to stop the tension. To act like a family again. I told her I wasn't bringing the kids into a place where they weren't safe emotionally. She promised me it would be okay. Said Heather wanted to talk. Said this was a new start. So I packed up Ava, Chloe, and Noah, wrangled car seats and bottles and diaper bags, and I drove across town with hope in my back pocket. Big mistake. When we got there, it was quiet. Too quiet. Heather was already there. Brian looked exhausted. My mom had that hostess smile she only uses when she's trying to distract people from the tension in the room. I hugged her. She hugged back, stiff. You look tired, Samantha. I have a newborn. Well, you didn't have to have 3. There it was. Passive. Slipped in like a casual dig, not a punch. I smiled and said nothing. I wasn't going to ruin this. Not yet. The kids played in the living room. Ava napped on my chest. Heather sat on the opposite end of the couch, drinking wine and saying almost nothing. She didn't even look at the baby. Not once. Then we sat down for dinner. Ham, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans, the usual. Brian tried to start small talk. My dad talked about football. My mom made forced jokes. Then Heather said, so, do you plan on having more? Everyone froze. I looked up. What? You already have 3. Just wondering when the next one's scheduled. My mom chuckled awkwardly. Heather, no, it's a real question. Since you're apparently building a daycare. I set down my fork. What exactly is your problem? You don't get to play the victim, Sam. You've taken everything. Taken? You think I stole motherhood from you? You took Chloe, then Noah, then you got pregnant like it was nothing. None of that has anything to do with you. It has everything to do with me. I deserve to be a mom. I stood up. So did she. You think I don't? You think I'm playing pretend over here? You're hoarding children so you can feel important. Say that again. You are hoarding kids. Chloe walked into the room, holding a toy. She heard it. She froze. My mom stood between us. Enough. Heather, sit down. Samantha, stop this. No, not until she says it to their faces. That they're just tokens to her. Heather turned to Chloe. Looked her dead in the eye. You're not really her kid. I lost it. Get out. What? Get out. This is my mother's house, and I'm leaving it. With my kids. Because this isn't a home anymore. My mom tried to speak. Samantha, no. I asked you to protect them. You promised me. It's Christmas. We don't fight at Christmas. She told my daughter she's not mine. You don't come back from that. I grabbed the diaper bag. Scooped up Ava. Called for Chloe and Noah. My mom said, don't be dramatic. I turned back. You let her say it. You stood there and let her. That's not family. Then we left. The ride home was quiet. Chloe looked out the window. Is Aunt Heather mad at me? I shook my head. She's mad at me, baby. And that's not your fault. Did I do something wrong? You were perfect. I cried in the driveway, long after the kids were inside. Because that was it. The final line crossed. There would be no coming back. No half forgiveness. No phone call and apology casserole. No pretending like she didn't look my child in the face and say she wasn't real. A few days later, Brian called. Said Heather was trying to spin it. Told the family I overreacted. That I'd set her up. That I wanted her to snap. I didn't argue. I didn't post about it. I didn't text my mom back when she said, you should have stayed. For the kids. I was staying for the kids. I was staying out of places where they were hated quietly and harmed publicly. Some people think motherhood is a title you earn through pain. But I learned something. It's not blood. It's not labor. It's not biology or DNA or a baby shower full of monogram blankets. It's who shows up when the world turns cold. It's who chooses love again and again, even when it's inconvenient. Even when it costs you your family. And if defending my kids makes me the villain in their eyes, then fine. Let me be the villain. I'll sleep just fine. Because my children will never question who stood between them and the people who tried to diminish their worth. After Christmas, Heather blocked me on everything. Phone, email, socials, even Venmo. It was childish, sure. But I won't lie, it still stung. There's something final about getting digitally erased. Like your existence has been officially filed under threat in someone's mind. But worse than the blocking? My mom didn't block me. She just stopped calling. No check-ins. No, how's Ava? No, do you need anything? It was like she was waiting. Waiting for me to break first. Waiting for me to reach out and say I was sorry for causing a scene. For ruining Christmas. Spoiler alert, I didn't. I had 3 kids and no time for silent treatments. The next few months were hard. Not just because of the usual newborn chaos, sleep deprivation, cluster feeds, random diaper explosions at 3 a.m. No, the real hard part was the loneliness. Not just being a single mom of 3. Being a single mom with a broken bloodline. Because there's no manual for what to do when your sister hates your children. Or when your mom thinks keeping the peace is more important than protecting your kids. So I built my own manual. Day by day. In page 1 read, never let anyone make your children feel like a burden. Then spring came. Ava turned 6 months. We threw a small backyard party. Just close friends. Balloons, dollar store cupcakes, a bubble machine that wouldn't stop shrieking. Tessa was there. Brian was not. Neither was my mom. Chloe asked me why Nana didn't come. I smiled and said, she must be busy. She nodded. Didn't ask again. Because at some point, kids stop asking questions they've already answered in their hearts. 2 days later, a package arrived. Big. Heavy. No return address. Just my name, handwritten on the box. I opened it. Inside? A brand new white wooden crib. Still in the box. Still sealed. Expensive. On top of it, taped to the plastic, a card. No envelope. No handwriting. Just 3 printed words, from all of us. I stood there in my living room, kids playing in the background, holding that card, and I didn't know whether to cry or scream. Because us used to mean something. And now? It meant nothing. I texted Brian. Was the crib from you? He replied almost immediately. No, pause. Heather picked it. I stared at the message. Then typed, why? She didn't say much. Just, it's time. Is this an apology? I don't think she knows what that is yet. But I think it's a start. I didn't say thank you. Not yet. But I set up the crib, put Ava in it that night. And I watched her sleep in something her aunt picked out. Her aunt who hadn't met her. Her aunt who had said she wasn't mine. And I felt conflicted. Like the first raindrop hitting cracked ground. Not enough to grow anything, but maybe enough to soften it. A week later, my mom called. First time in months. I let it ring 3 times before I picked up. Hi. Hi. Awkward silence. Then, how's Ava? Growing. The crib okay? It's fine. That was Heather's idea. So I heard. She's trying. I didn't say anything. Because trying doesn't erase the damage. Trying doesn't undo what was said. But maybe it's something. Then Mom said, Brian's the one really pushing. He said she's different now. Calmer. Less angry. I'm not angry. I'm protective. She knows that. And she's starting to understand what it cost you. It cost us. But you chose to stay neutral. I didn't know what to do. You do now. Long pause. Then, can I visit? I said yes. One visit. No talk of the past. No fixing things in one afternoon. Just Ava. And maybe, eventually, the others. She came that Friday. Held Ava. Watched her sleep. Didn't say much. But when she left, she looked at me and said, You're a better mother than I ever gave you credit for. And that mattered more than any crib. Heather still didn't call. But 2 weeks later, she unblocked me and sent a photo of a small onesie. It said, Family is who shows up. No message. No caption. Just that. I haven't replied yet. Not because I'm angry, but because I need to protect the peace I fought for. And sometimes peace means not rushing into what broke you the first time. Let her reach. Let her prove. I'll be here. With my 3 kids. Living the life she said wasn't real. 3 years passed. 3 birthdays. 3 first days of school. 3 winter breaks filled with chaos and cocoa and toys that broke within a week. Ava learned to walk. Chloe started piano lessons. Noah developed an obsession with dinosaurs that consumed our entire living room. And Heather? Heather disappeared. Not completely. She hovered in the periphery. Silent follows on Instagram. Occasional gifts that came with no notes. She even mailed a book to Noah on his birthday, wrapped in paper with trucks on it. But she never called. Never visited. Never really said what I needed to hear. I stopped waiting. At some point, you stop checking your phone. Stop reading between the lines. Stop holding space for people who left the room years ago. Instead, I focused on the ones who stayed. Mom became more present. Still awkward, still careful, but she was trying. Brian sent birthday cards, even when Heather didn't. Tessa basically moved in on weekends, and the kids started calling her Auntie T. Our little circle was messy, but it was ours. Until one day, it wasn't just ours anymore. It was a rainy Tuesday when I got the call. I was at work. Desk cluttered, coffee cold. Chloe had left a sticker on my laptop that said, You're doing amazing MOM, and I hadn't had the heart to peel it off. My phone buzzed. Heather. I stared at it like it was a ghost, then picked up. Sam. Her voice was soft, thinner than I remembered. Yeah. Hi. Hi. Another pause. Then she said, I'm fostering a boy. My heart jumped. What? His name is Jackson. He's 5. Came through the system last month. It's been a lot. I sat down. You're fostering? Yeah. I didn't say anything. Didn't trust my voice. Then she said, I didn't think I could do it. I kept thinking about everything I said to you. All the things I judged. You said a lot. I know. She took a shaky breath. I'm sorry, Sam. I was wrong. I waited. Not out of pettiness. I just needed to feel it. Really feel it. To know she wasn't reading from a script. I thought pain made me entitled. That because I'd suffered more, I deserved more. And when you got what I wanted, I couldn't stand it. I swallowed. They weren't what you wanted, Heather. They're people. I know that now. Do you? Yes. Because my kids still remember. And I hate that. I hate that I was part of that. I'll never forget the look Chloe gave me that day at dinner. Like she was trying to disappear. My throat tightened. She did disappear. Around you. I don't deserve a second chance. Probably not. But Jackson asked about cousins. And I didn't know what to say. She exhaled. I was wondering if maybe you'd meet him. Help me figure this out. We met at a park the next weekend. Neutral ground. My kids were excited. They'd heard about Aunt Heather, but barely remembered her face. Chloe was taller now. Stronger. But quieter when it came to family. Heather showed up with Jackson, a skinny, bright-eyed boy with a Lightning McQueen backpack and a scraped knee. She introduced him. I introduced mine. Then we just watched. Noah ran circles around the slides. Ava sat in the sandbox and refused to share her shovel. Jackson followed Chloe like a shadow, curious, cautious, but clearly drawn to her calm. Heather and I sat on a bench, watching. She broke the silence first. "You're really good at this." "I had to be. I didn't understand before." "No, you didn't. But I do now." She turned to me, eyes red. "I was cruel. Not just angry. I was mean. And I said things I can't unsay." I nodded. "You were scared. And small. And bitter. And wrong. And wrong." She looked away. "Do they hate me?" "No. But they don't trust you." "Fair. But trust can be rebuilt. Can it? If you show up." And she did. Not perfectly. Not quickly. But consistently. She called. She came. She asked questions she used to mock me for, about bedtime routines, sensory issues, co-regulation. She cried when Jackson called her mom for the first time. She cried again when Chloe hugged her voluntarily. And I watched this woman, my sister, the same one who once told my daughter she wasn't really mine, fall to her knees, clean the mess she made, and finally learn what love without ego looked like. We're not best friends. We never will be. But we're something better now. We're honest. We're working. We're building a story where the past gets to exist, but doesn't get to drive. Last week, Jackson spent the night. His first ever sleepover. He brought a plastic dinosaur, a Spider-Man pillow, and a note from Heather. "Thank you for doing what I couldn't, until I could." I folded it and put it in a drawer. Right next to the hospital bracelet from the day I picked up Chloe. The baby hat Noah wore home. Ava's first drawing of our family, with too many arms, but everyone smiling. Some people rebuild by apologizing. Others, by showing up, day after day, until the people they hurt start to believe they've changed. Heather chose the long road. And this time, she's walking it. If this story touched you, share it with someone who remembers those days too.